Hello everyone, my name is Danker. I'm the TWU Local 514 President here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'd like to ask you to, if you're watching this on YouTube, to click subscribe, little red square with the white arrow. Hit the notification bell. That'll let you know if you subscribe. It'll also let you know when we put a video out. I try not to put out a lot of videos, but I try to put them out when I feel like there's a lot of confusion or something that we need to try to all get on the same page with. Today, I would like to try to put some explanation around the vacation, DAT, comp, articles in the book, some information that's floating around the base that may be causing some confusion. But the company is clearly moving away from TLs, which is time card leave without getting paid, and they can't give TLs and do what's in the contract book as it's applied with the use of DAT days and the request for DAT days. So all of this mess on this whiteboard are bullet points and talking points. So try not to make it a 20-minute video. So here we go. So we come back to work. Hope everyone had a nice holiday off. And you show up and you may have been told by your supervisor, here's the new process for submitting for day at a time request, comp request, which is if you comp a holiday, you have a comp bank, and to talk about maybe moving your bid weeks or block vacation weeks around. Then it also discusses what to do if you have an emergency. So we had a meeting yesterday with the new managing director on the base that's taken Mr. Olin's place, Mr. Ed Sangrico. In the meeting, he had his directors, HR or labor guy was there, Josh Voss, the lady that is over the Tulsa Admin Center, Jenna Franco was there. The manager for, or director for facilities was at the meeting, and stores director wasn't there, but they had a gentleman there that was there to listen and speak on their behalf. So most of the 514 officers were there as well to try to get on the same page. The meeting was probably roughly 2 hours long. Before the meeting, I had a discussion with Mr. Sangrico. We talked for about an hour and a half discussing this as well as some other topics. So here I go. So discussion of this video is over vacation, DAT, and comp. The first bullet point here, vacation selection, which happened in December. You should have selected how many block weeks you wanted, how many DAT weeks you wanted, and that gave us a weekly / daily allotment to get our how many people can be off weekly on vacation. But it also sets not only weekly, it sets a amount of folks that can be off per day. So when you get into the next bullet point, and it talks about DAT / comp requests. So you're used to calling up your supervisor and say, hey, I need to take today off, tomorrow, or hey, next Friday, I'm gonna want to take a vacation day. And there's some differences around the base, but for the most part, that was the way that it was accomplished. Now, with this new book, it's clearly spells out how you request to take a day off. So I've got this book right here in front of me. It's for M&R. It's the same application for the MLS group. In the vacation article, it's the same article number, 23. It talks about, in paragraph N of the M&R book on page 142, like I said, it's the same article, but the paragraphs and things, some things don't line up when you get into the other contract books. So if you'll go to the vacation article in your book and scroll through, you will find that this reads the same in MLS as well. So this book applies to M&R, which also has facilities in it, plant maintenance, GSE. And it says an employee wishing to use a DAT vacation day must provide the company with no less than 7 and no more than 14 days written notice. Let's talk about that for a minute. DAT day at a time. We also reserve the right for hour at a time. Say you know you're going to need to go for a doctor's appointment. You're not sick, but you've got a condition coming and you need to get in the doctor to see it or get something x-rayed, or that's your business. But say they've called and they say, hey, we've got an opening here 14 to 7 days before the date, and you say, well, I'd like to have that day, I'd like to have that appointment time, but I have to put in for it, but go ahead and slot my name in there. And so you put in for it. You put in to request that time off. It says no more than 7, no less than 7 before the day off, and no more than 14 written notice. This letter that was for management's use to try to explain to them the process, it says in here that if you want to request a day at a time, the team member send an email to the Tulsa Administration Center 14 to 7 days in advance of the day being requested off. And an email in this case is what they are considering a written notice. The book also recognizes multiple places that it can be handwritten or electronic. I'm hoping that everybody by now has an AA.com email and they can submit that request, and that will satisfy this written notice. The next paragraph says the granting of day at a time vacation will be made no more than 7 days and no less than 5 days before the day requested. So from 14 before down to 7 before, people will put in for it, and from the 7th day before to the 5th day before, the company will grant the day at a time vacation and or the comp day that they're requesting to have off up to the vacation ratio as described in article. When more than one employee seeks day at a time vacation, company seniority will govern. So you put it in 14 down to 7. From 7 down to 5, the company will award the days off by the allotment. And I'm going to, right over here, I've got this example. So, and it should be posted. You should be able to go to your crew roster area where that's posted, what your shift is, days off, who your crew chief is. That's where this book, in the M&R book, I've got it marked here, says the company shall post vacation assignments as indicated from the employee's preference by December 20th. So you did your vacation in December, it should be posted. It's not. They recognize that, and I made that request to them to get it out there and get it posted. I'm hopeful that it's posted in your area, so you should be able to see who's taken what day of what week of the year off. And I also would like to ask and request, and we did, that they put the allotment of people that can take off on that week, and that's also the same for each day. Now, vacation selection is done by shift now. So on day shift, and this is an example out on a shop or a dock, day shift, they may let, in that area, they're going to let 17 people off. 10 of them on days, 5 on seconds, and 2 on mids. And say in day shift, they've got 7 people that selected that week. I'm using July 12th through 18th as an example. Now, they've told us too, in the summertime, the allotment, they hope that the allotment will be much greater. They should have done that prior to you selecting. So in some weeks, you might see that the allotment only allows 12 people off. a week, broken up by shift. But in this example, I'm using 17. 17 people can be off on any given day, the week of July 12th through the 18th. So we got 7 people in this example off on block vacation, selection back in December. That leaves 3 slots on day shift for people to put in for day at a time request. They put their day at a time request in 14 to 7. From the 7th to the 5th day, the company will award who gets to take this day off by seniority. Once it reaches the allotment, it reaches the total of 10, then that means that it's closed, and anything above the allotment has to go to, they're saying on their paper, a level 5 manager has to make the decision according to operational necessity if they can go above the allotment. Now in my example, let's say that there's 7 on block, only 2 people put in from 14 to 7. That still leaves one opening to get to the allotment. After 7 days, it's first come, first serve to be awarded to the person, irregardless of seniority. So 14 to 7, it's awarded. They have to award it. They can't say no to get to the allotment. Those are openings that's available to us. After the allotment, level 5 manager can approve to increase above the allotment. After 7 days, down to 5, they're going to award that. After that, if the allotment's not full, or even if it is full and you want to request a day off, then you submit that according to their rules. They're going to say written as an email. You submit that, and a level 5 manager can look at your request and say they will allow it. Now my issue is, and we expressed this yesterday, is how quick that process can work. A gentleman that I've been working with, he put a request in at about 1:30 p.m. It's inside the 7 days. It's actually 5 days from the day he put it in yesterday. He put it in at 1:30 p.m. and at 10:45 p.m. he got an email stating that they awarded him. Now he didn't know what the allotment is because it's not posted. It should be posted, and we're working to get the company to do contractually what their obligation is. So up to the allotment, they have to award. The 14 to 7, it goes by seniority. After the 7th day, down to when the day is, if it's not, the allotment's not full, it's first come, first serve. If the allotment's full, then the requests go to a level 5 manager to approve above and beyond. Now, my next bullet point is, if you have a true emergency, call your supervisor. They will help you. With talking with Ed yesterday, Mr. Sangrico, he made it very clear to everyone in the room that they have an airline to run, but their goal is that if you call in one of them situations, he said, hey, I'm calling in and saying, hey, I've got a situation and I'm not going to be there. Now, this paper that went around said that that kind of stuff has to go to a level 5 manager. He made it clear yesterday that his expectation of the management team is to help you with your immediate need, whether it be you're in a wreck, you woke up and you got a family member that you have to immediately get to the hospital. I mean, if it's a true emergency, we all know it's not, hey, can I pretty please have off? It's like, hey, holy crap, I'm not going to be there. Now the goal of that is you're giving them heads up out of courtesy. I'm not going to be there. You don't really want to be in trouble with your time and attendance. You got vacation that you earned. You don't really want to violate somebody else's seniority rights to their approval. So my statement in this video is going to be that let's all try to be respectful of each other in this thing called you have an emergency. I hope I never wake up and have an emergency, but I know that that's not reality. That is not reality. I'm going to have some. And I hope when I call the supervisor and say, hey, I can't make it in today, I don't really care how you code it. I'm just letting you know but I ultimately hope that I'm not called in for some kind of, you know, daddy talk, that I'm in trouble for my time and attendance after 30 years, 30 plus years. So they are still going to recognize emergencies. He said that this information that went out, he said, put it in the trash can. You have a supervisor, it's a member of management team there. He expects his management team to make the call and help you with your situation. That's a true emergency. Rolling out of bed and looking up in the sky and it being 80 degrees and wanting to hit the golf course or the lake to go fishing. I'm hopeful that you could look at the weather and see, hey, it's going to be pretty nice Friday. I'm going to put in the DAT day and hope that I can get the time off. Or we have this thing called swaps now. Hopefully you have developed a swap partner, a group of friends that say, hey, this is something new. Let's try to get together and help each other. So I want to discuss with you DAT comp swaps. Okay? So it's listed in the book under Article 15 of your book. Just Article 15 is shift swaps. In our book, it's on page 100 and it's paragraph O. I'm just going to read it briefly and then we'll discuss it. If an employee is denied a requested DAT comp day due to needs of service. So I want to go fishing with my buddy Friday. It's 3 days out. They deny me because the allotment's full. I said, well, can we go above the allotment? No, we can't, Dale. We're full up, running overtime out the wazoo, and we can't let you off. It's not the end of the road for me trying to get that day off. An employee is denied a requested DAT comp day due to needs of service and subsequently arranges for another employee to work in his place. So I'm a day shifter. I want Friday off. My buddy that's on second shift, maybe I've got 2 or 3. It's better to have more than one because you can give stuff away to a third person. But you got to be willing to, when they say, hey, Danker, you got to pay me back. And it's the beautifulest day of the year. And he says, today's the day. Well, then I got to suck it up and pay him back. But if I get my buddies, hey, on Friday, I want off. Can you work a double? Can you work my shift Friday? Here's what would happen. The employee shall be paid for the day at his appropriate straight time rate, and a DAT comp day will be deducted. The DAT comp swap shall not count as a swap for purposes of limitations in this provision. So you get so many per quarter. That type of a swap doesn't count towards the number that you have, that you can do in a quarter. So it's Friday, I want off. My buddy says, yeah, I'll work it. So I'm not working a shift for him. He's going to work my shift. He's going to get straight time for 8 or 7.5 or whatever it ends up with the overlap. And then on that sheet that I fill out and submit, I'm going to put in there, he's going to work for me, and then I want a day deducted out of my DAT allotment or my comp bank if I have days in my comp bank. That's called a DAT comp swap, as outlined in the book. I feel like with this new DAT request, allotment, operational necessity, guys are used to calling up and requesting a day off. I mean, I've been a crew chief for a long time. The supervisors, my whole 13 years as a crew chief before I became the president of this local, the supervisors would say, hey, can you let Bill off? I mean, can we afford to let Bill off? I mean, how's the workload look? It was on me, and I wished it still stayed like that. But it is not like that. It's not like that at all. I mean, as crew chief, I was responsible for production, and I always try to tell my crew, look, I'm always going to say yes, but that means those that aren't here, and when I need you to go work on their stuff, then you got to pick it up, because one day you're going to want off, and I'm going to ask them to pick your stuff up. So it was a self-help. I'm hopeful that we can still self-help each other with the swap article. I'm hopeful of that. I don't know that we will get there, but I'm sure some guys will figure it out. So that's DAT comp swaps and how I'm trying to explain how we can try to still get you off on the days that you need off, the things that you need to go do. So in this letter that went around, talks about TLs. They're not gone, but they are going to, they're not unlimited. Ed made it clear. He said, I really would like for you to get your 40 hours pay. And so if you have an emergency and you're out of time off, or you've got block weeks, you didn't select DAT days. Now I'm going to say this too, it's somewhere down here, but in holidays, you might start thinking about comping, going on the computer system and comping your holidays. We'll get to that in a minute. Here's why. If you didn't select DAT days and you've only got blocks, or you're a new guy and you got 2 weeks of vacation and you just selected them as block weeks, then if you get into this emergency situation and you don't have a DAT day that you can burn, or you don't have a comp day that you can burn for an emergency, or you don't have a DAT or a comp day that you can do a DAT comp swap. If we got Martin Luther King Day coming up, you had January 1st, we got 10 holidays now, so they're going to be coming. You can go on the computer system and select that you want to comp the day, bank it, put it in your comp bank account instead of getting paid the 8 hours holiday pay. Then you can get 10 a year, and you can bank 17 and a half days, and you can roll all those 17 and a half days. If you spent 2 years banking them and you didn't take any, up to 17 and a half days, you can roll every year. So if you can slowly over time afford to comp the days, you can get a bank of 17 and a half to help with some of this. So that's one provision that kind of ties in with how to request time off and get time off. So the TLs are not unlimited. They're only going to be utilized when there's no paid time off available to you. You have an emergency, you call in, I can't be there today. I know I'm not going to get paid. I'm not trying to call in sick and get sick unpaid. I'm just telling you I've got an emergency and I can't be there. They are still going to be able to give you code of TL in that spot, so you're not on an unauthorized absence. Also, TLs, this benefits the company. If you're at a dock or in a shop, say, this is the example that Ed gave. Say a 777, they've had one go down out in the field that's got a maintenance issue, they can't get it back up. It's heavy flying season in the summer with these wide bodies, and they got some yield on a 777 that they can fly a little bit longer, and they choose not to bring it into Tulsa for its maintenance. They keep it out flying a day or two. Well, in that case, if there's no other work to shuffle the head count to, they could come out and say, guys, just be in your area, be ready, because this plane's going to fly another couple of days. Well, that affects all the back shops too. Seat shop don't get the offloads, you don't get the offloads from those shops that support AO. So in those scenarios, they may choose to say, look, if any of y'all, we're not going to tell you to go home. If you want to stay here and be ready, be on standby, we'll pay you. But if you wanted to, you could TL a few hours or TL the rest of the day or TL tomorrow. It depends on the company making that decision. So that's how they explained it to us and to myself and the other officers, how they envision TLs going forward. So 2021 holidays, they made this statement. It was asked, I think Kendall, maybe Tracy, one of the officers asked, what holidays are going to be observed at the base as off? And so Martin Luther King Day is coming up. They said, we are going to close the base for that holiday. Matter of fact, we're scheduled to close the base for every one of the holidays for 2021. We know that unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, there's some critical areas on the base that take care of the base, and then there's like the boiler room, and there are some MLS areas in the warehouse that support the field. So those areas, some areas on the base have to be manned 24/7, 365 days a year, and those folks, unfortunately, may be here working on that holiday if that's what their schedule hits, and they'll have the option of pay and or bank. So plan on this year, if you wanted to, not sure what you did with January 1st, you could get there before the holiday happens, go into your My Time, and you could comp that holiday. And I'm saying down here, you might consider comping your holidays to get your comp bank built up to help you just in case of some of these other things. Yes, I understand that you're doing that in lieu of pay. I'm not forgetting that. As always, my number is 918-636-6089. I have been getting lots of calls, text messages, and the like. And somehow I text you or we talked and I forgot something. I'm a human being that God did not give the biggest, hardest hard drive of memory. And the older I get, it seems like that's getting worse. Call me, text me, hit me back on a text. Please don't leave me a voicemail. It's cumbersome to get to and listen to all of them. It's faster just to read a text message. Hey, this is Billy Bob. Please give me a call. I got a question about DAT comps. That's better for me. Hopefully it's okay for you too. Anyway, long video. I like to ramble on sometimes and try to include as much stuff as possible. On your swaps and your vacation, I only touched in a couple of paragraphs. The association leadership decided that the company was hurting too bad financially, and I'm told they agreed not to give you a printed copy of this book, or the book that pertains to your classification. If that's 100% true, once the final versions with all the grammatical errors are corrected, if this membership would like to, we have enough money, we could get you guys to approve it, and we could go to the print shop and print you off some. Otherwise, they're on the company computer. You hit print and make sure the printer's got enough paper on it. But it's unfortunate that someone agrees to take something away from you. It'd be nice if you had this, you could dog-ear it and sit around and read the vacation article and read the shift swap articles, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen unless we do it ourselves locally. We have enough money to do that, by the way. All right, so that's a little bit of touching on vacation, DAT, comp, swap, how to pick them, what to do with your holidays, what you can expect coming up on your holidays. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.